I often think about it. Why did it happen? Why did it turn out this way? I had a girlfriend and I lost her. So many insults she had to take from me. Then I asked myself, why isn't there a mirror here, right? And why am I actually alone in a room with just one bed and all that? Normally, it's like I stabbed her in the head, okay? And she absolutely got the most out of it.
Hello, I'm Lenka Zaitsova, and I welcome you to another episode of the Priority Podcast. Hello, Zdeněk.
Hello, everyone, and greetings to you all. And I came to tell you about my story.
Thank you very much for coming. You came from Hustopeče. Was that right? Hustopeče near Brno?
Just a bit away. It's exactly 6 kilometers away, the village of Horní Bojanovice. And it's a beautiful village surrounded by vineyards.
That's lovely. So please, let's start from the beginning chronologically. I would like to go back. Actually, I'd like to start with what happened to you, with what you went through. You've already mentioned several times that it's probably not easy for you, but...
Well, it happened. What happened. I was burned in a car. It was I often think about it, why it happened, why it took place. But what happened was that I wanted to rest in the car. I'd had quite a lot that day, and simply at our restaurant, where I had a few alcoholic drinks, I didn't want to drive. So I walked home. When I got to my building, I realized I didn't have my apartment keys, so I went back to the car because it was cold. One thing just led to another. So I just comfortably rested there in the car. I wasn't in any particular hurry, just wanted to truly relax and unwind, and then I'd eventually get out and go home. And then I actually woke up a few months later in the hospital. Yeah.
So before you woke up, could you please introduce us to the Zdeněk you used to be, the person you were back then? What was he like? I don't mean visually, but what kind of person was he compared to the person sitting here with me today?
Well, I've thought about it several times, that I actually lost absolutely everything that I truly loved, really. I had a fantastic and fulfilling job. I had a wonderful girlfriend whom I tragically lost. I thought I had lost absolutely everything, even sports, that I simply didn't exist anymore, that I would just live out the rest of my life somehow. So that was it. I got a bit tangled up in that, sorry.
No, you didn't get tangled up at all. You were simply Zdeněk, living your life happy with a girlfriend, 3 daughters, sports.
I was really living life to the fullest, I say, thanks to my job. I got to know a lot of places, everything. I enjoyed traveling, biking, swimming, just everything. I really lived life to the fullest, as they say. Until that very moment, I truly hadn't even fully realized, not until this significant event profoundly happened to me, just how incredibly fortunate and genuinely lucky I was in my life. All that I had, and I hope I still have. In fact, all I've really lost now is my sight. You could say it's not much. That's how I would put it, but the truth is, life changed completely. It turned upside down, completely upside down. Upside down, exactly.
So you woke up in the hospital after that whole ordeal. What are your very first distinct memories of being in the hospital, if you can recall them?
Well, even now, after all this time, after those 2 years since it happened, I still have a bit of confusion in my head, but I remember it was terrible because my worlds kept shifting and I never really knew what was going on, whether I had died or if I was still alive. It was kind of horror. I can't really put it into words, not exactly the way I'd like to. I just have it inside me, I know it, but I can't really talk about it properly.
It's very glorified. We know it from the media, from movies, where someone wakes up after being in an induced coma or a coma for a long time and everything is bathed in sunlight. But of course, it's not like that at all, is it?
Well, according to the paperwork and all that, which I later discussed with the doctor, they only gave me about a 10% chance of survival. Today, with my dark sense of humor, I call it just finishing breathing. But until recently, I couldn't really describe what was happening. But someone at a gathering I attended said that we're special in that we can't just die because we have a proud soul. And I'd say there's something to that. Yeah. That it's simply not a coincidence that I survived this. I even had a friend, he was 16 years old. He was hit by a car and died. So I've been thinking about him quite a lot lately, or really ever since this happened to me, because I think something happened. I really can't quite describe it. I've got so much going on in my head, like really a lot, but
That's clear.
what I personally went through and experienced is truly unbelievable, just absolutely and utterly unbelievable to comprehend.
That friend hit by a car, was he in his teens, an accident or what?
It's been about 25 years since he was hit by that car. He was a young guy, really talented and all that. He was in the wrong place, but he also fought for a really long time. So now, at this very moment, I truly understand why he fought so valiantly. And it's quite strange. I even distinctly saw him. He somehow got completely mixed up in my mind when I was somewhere else, like he somehow became deeply tangled up within the confines of my head, a persistent presence.
Mhm.
It's just,
And how was that meeting? What needs to be talked about?
but it's incredibly motivating, and it truly inspires one to achieve great things. Because I think I really have something that, well, not everyone gets to experience. Gets lucky is the wrong word, but it just doesn't happen to everyone. And with what I had to go through, even I'm surprised at how I managed it. I honestly don't understand at all where that strength in me came from. Everyone says that I'm really strong. I wouldn't say that at all. Somehow, internally, sometimes it feels automatic to me, and other times it feels like it's something nobody else has, only me. Well, and it's
Zdeněk, you are exceptional. There's no doubt about it. The fact is, you fought for it, you fought for your life, and today you're sitting here and playing sports again. And I really think that, well, I believe all the listeners and viewers watching today's podcast, their jaws must have dropped to the floor, as the saying goes. You have to realize that this is truly a great honor that you have received, and that's something that can't just happen to anyone else.
yes, that's right. But mainly I'd like to show people a bit how it really was. When I was lying in the hospital, I was thinking to myself, what am I going to do with my life? Here I am, almost 50, and basically my whole life has been on a board, and now it's over. And that thought kept running through my head for a long time. Up until a certain point recently, everything turned around, and I just kept telling myself, it's so easy to just shut down. It's so easy to close yourself off and just stay there, just feeling sorry for yourself. And at the beginning, it was really tough for me. Like for 3 or 4 days, I kept thinking about whether to go outside or go to the store, or I really wanted to try it out. I'm an incredibly curious person. It's honestly crazy. I just can't even sleep because of it. So many sleepless nights wondering if I can or can't. It's really months, a billion thoughts per second racing through my head. And I always tell myself, it won't kill me now, so what? What else could possibly happen to me? It's terrible, but that's just how it is. Well, I just take it as part of life.
Could we please go back to your stay in the hospital? How long were you there? How many surgeries did you have?
So how long exactly was I in the hospital about that? I think it was 8 months in total, or 6, 8 months, something like that.
Then how long were you in an induced coma?
According to the papers I read, it was about 3 weeks, yeah. And I was in that coma for a few days, yeah.
And then you started waking up during those 3 weeks.
Waking up, I really didn't know for a long time, honestly. My head, maybe that's just how it has to be. Maybe that's how it works, in a way. But for a person, it's really, you honestly never know if you're dead or alive or what's even happening. Because even now, some dreams still come back, especially from the ICU. It's like that, but even so, what kind of dreams?
Come back, sorry?
Those things of mine, I thought back then that it was real. And then out of nowhere, suddenly I'm in the hospital, and then all of a sudden I hear, you're going to the operating room. And when I heard in my head that I was going to the operating room, I knew that was my lucky day, the day I'd finally get to rest. Because honestly, I felt like I hadn't slept at all.
When you saw yourself in the mirror for the first time, do you want to...
No, that you see is a very important point to consider.
you would look completely and utterly different too, just like you do today, especially when compared to how you looked previously before. That's a truly significant and noticeable difference.
It was brutal. But thanks to the psychologist who
Just being
in full charge of the at that particular time, in that precise moment, during those specific days, he was truly my real opponent, a formidable rival indeed. When Abed Vairik appeared, he quickly became my formidable and terrible rival. I simply realized that I had encountered a significant block
about
psychiatry. Thanks to that, it kind of saved me a little bit now. Well, back then it saved me. It was different back then when I realized it. And I realize it every time. I'm terribly afraid that I might end up in psychiatry. That's really what it is. And back then, actually, because I'm really curious, really. And at that time, it really annoyed me that I was lying in the ICU and there was no mirror there. Why? To me, the ICU didn't seem like any kind of special room. I just took it as if I had woken up there, that it was kind of ordinary, normal. And after a while, I was just lying there. And I knew when the nurses were probably changing shifts. So that was the time, those 2 hours, hour and a half, 2 hours, when I was really completely alone there. And so I was darting my eyes around the room, noticing that there wasn't any mirror. At that moment, I knew that something was probably a little bit wrong, but I wasn't really admitting anything to myself. I could kind of hear my own voice, so I knew I had something like I had that tracheostomy, that sort of thing. Okay, I told myself, it's fine, I'll get better, I'll get out of here, life goes on, I'll go back to work, I just want to be there already. And I just want to go out there again, have new experiences. And I'm thinking, why isn't there a mirror here, right? And why am I actually alone in this room with just one bed and all that? And around that time, a lady started coming in. I'm not sure if she was a psychologist or a psychiatrist, probably a psychologist. She was from the hospital, you could say. And it's true that after the first session, she came in and I saw her. Actually, there were two of them who came in like that. At first, there was one lady psychiatrist there, and I don't even remember their names anymore. Actually, I don't even want to know them. And at first, I saw her as an angel. Honestly, she came in and I had something weighing on my heart. I was thinking to myself, I'm not even used to it. I was never the type to confide my problems to anyone. I always say, I can handle it myself, which isn't true today. I know now that when you really communicate and have people around you who actually listen and understand what you're talking about, it's an incredible help. That's a huge shift for me in this regard. I'd say one of the biggest, because until now, I used to handle everything myself. I never told anyone anything. I managed everything on my own, like it was nothing. So I actually started talking a bit about those dreams here, and she told me back then that it's really interesting because in these situations, very few people remember everything in such detail. I remember what she had, how she looked, what happened, just everything. Right here with this lady, I can see everything in my mind's eye, every single detail. And she said that it's really fascinating. So I spent a little time with her, I think maybe 2 or 3 times. And then out of nowhere, another lady appeared there. But it was like turning a page. This was a lady I knew from the very first second that we were going to clash. She would always sit down with me so nicely and say, "So, Mr. Borowski, how are you feeling?" I don't even want to say it here, and I won't say it. No, that's
something you have to say now. You really have to. It's like a rule.
so many curses, so much abuse she took from me. The anger was just terrible. I even felt a bit sorry for her, but I knew it was wrong. It was like, in my head, I was stabbing her, and she was getting the worst of it. It's true that after the second or third session, I think something subtle happened between us, that she realized it, and since then she hasn't shown up there. I think she sensed it pretty strongly. I completely shut down, just totally. And when she did come, I actually had trouble. I mean, I was really struggling to breathe. Like, seriously, it was intense. It's terrible, yeah. Ever since then, just terrible. It's hard for me to talk about this. It's actually the first time, yeah. Getting this out of myself is quite hard, but thanks to this one special person here, I managed to get through it a little bit more.
Definitely.
I didn't lose it.
And
I absolutely didn't give up. Even when they showed me after the very first mirror, my eyes were still firmly fixed on her. And I looked her directly in the eyes and said, I am absolutely not doing this because of you at all. I didn't give up. maybe that person got me back on my own 2 feet, even though I truly cannot stand him at all. It's quite strange, isn't it? It appears he is also experiencing a moment of profound sadness, shedding tears alongside others. Given this emotional display and the current circumstances, it is imperative that we proceed and transition to the next segment or topic without further delay. Indeed, that is the most appropriate course of action at this juncture.
So you have 3 wonderful daughters, so you had 3 amazing women who truly took care of you, who genuinely supported you throughout your life?
Absolutely, yes. I actually have to admit a bit that up until then, I was never much of a father. I was always kind of left-handed, both in spirit and in body.
So
I wasn't really much of a father. Most of the time, it was actually my ex-wives. Thank God. God bless them for raising the children the way they did. I have to admit, I was a bit of a slacker as a father.
that's quite an admission, Zdeněk.
You may indeed be entirely right about that, but you have certainly gotten me to open up a little bit more than I had originally intended to, I must admit.
What kind of father are you now? You're a grandfather.
Still the very same father, that truly doesn't change at all. And did you by any chance happen to...
Your relationship with your daughters, because after all, they were there for you when, right?
If they hadn't been there, I can't even imagine how it all would have turned out. I don't even want to think about it. It just was what it was. I accept it, and that's how it is. But the oldest one, the oldest, yes, she was back then, in my eyes, a bit of a leader angel.
Yeah.
She took care of everything, handled it all, so it was awesome. Which really calmed me down because I was thinking, what about this, what about that? But she was calm. She didn't say anything about it. Deal with it. Don't deal with that. Back then, my ex-girlfriend was still in the hospital. So actually, I'll talk about that a little later, if that's okay. So my oldest daughter, well, she basically took care of everything. They even had to sign things on my behalf because I was in that coma, the induced one. So she had to approve the surgeries and everything.
How old was she at the time?
Well, it's been 2 years. She's 26 now. So back then...
She really shouldn't have had to sign documents for her sick father. Not at that age. That must have been incredibly hard for her.
You know, I actually didn't know about it myself until recently, or rather, until I was in that facility. It truly was one of the most profoundly important and transformative moments in my entire life. It completely and utterly turned everything around, shifting my perspective and trajectory in a significant and lasting way. I didn't realize it at the time either. I saw it more as just something that we consistently did, like a fundamental duty, I would definitely say. So I have to honestly say it really couldn't have been easy for them at all, any of it. It was just a mere few weeks ago, not that long ago at all. Curiosity really is a terrible thing for me. And with me, it's like they must have pumped me full of it. I just don't get it. And so we were just sitting there. I was sitting with my family, those who used to visit me. And honestly, it was kind of roundabout. I didn't want to ask directly because I know it must be really hard for them to even talk about it and all that. But I was curious what it was like because today I regret not having a single photo from the hospital. Before, I would have totally rejected it like, I hate you. How could you let this happen? But today, I'm actually still searching to see if there's any photo from the very beginning, from when I first started out. So I was also having a detailed conversation with my beloved family members about what my appearance was like and all of those related aspects. These days, my brother jokes about it, but it was really tough for the kids. Probably the hardest for the oldest one. The second daughter, she was kind of, how should I put it? I don't want to say it the wrong way, but she was just a bit of a clown. She would come in, I'd let it go. I wasn't worried that there'd be dinner, that something might happen, or that they'd really come after me. And I really very much enjoyed her.
Yeah.
For everyone, I waited, counted the minutes, even though I'm a guy, right? I'm not supposed to admit that.
Of course, that's just how it is. That's how I am.
At least that's how it is for me too. So I wasn't afraid to admit that, honestly, there were plenty of times I was counting the minutes, like when she said 3:05, why isn't she here yet? So that's how it was for me. And the youngest one, well, she came in and I still remember the sentence to this day when she said, Dad, you look good. You look like Dolly Buster with those lips you have. It was really, truly important, yes. In the hospital, I truly realized how, like, I could have given so much more in life than I actually did. And now it's coming back to me. Like, I feel like I gave too little, especially compared to how much they gave back to me. That's how I would put it.
Beautiful. At least it made a lot of people realize something they might never have realized otherwise. And
Just that
it was the oldest daughter who was already a mother herself who, well,
lately things have been a bit tense between us once again, primarily because we are both kind of stubborn, much like two stubborn rams. So now, I don't know how to put it, but it has been a few months since I've had the chance to see the little one. But of course, that is partly my own fault too, isn't it? But there's just this tension and something lingering in the air between us now. And I don't know, I just can't really grasp it.
I can't really say. Zdeněk, just to clarify, if this happened to you over 2 years ago, then at that time your eldest daughter must have either been pregnant or
She was pregnant, yes.
that must have been incredibly difficult.
She was, and actually, this child is a bit of a true miracle because she had encountered some problems. So it was kind of a challenging situation. At that time, I was thinking, I really hope I didn't inadvertently harm this little one, that it all works out perfectly. They dealt with it several times with her boyfriend, and I didn't really want to get involved or even know too much about the specific details of their situation, but I knew she had truly terrible problems. So it was kind of a prayed for child, a blessing in many ways. But at least whenever she was with me, everything seemed genuinely happy and joyful. So it was a bit different for me back then, in those earlier times, than it is now. That
You'll probably call somewhere about that too, right? After today's conversation, because when you look at it, you have a wonderful daughter and now you have a little grandson. I think that's everyone's dream as a little kid, to have a 50-year-old grandpa. That's awesome. That's just great.
that didn't even really bother me at all, not in the slightest.
So maybe, just maybe, we could consider this as a potential option.
Probably, yeah. I guess I should. Not just probably, but I will do it.
We're home from the hospital.
Wow.
What was it like for you to introduce your surroundings, your friends and family?
To the new Zdeněk with your new appearance. Like, for us, since I am originally from a small village, I didn't really perceive it in that particular way. Like, I don't know, it genuinely helped me in a very significant and profound manner. Well, then, actually. My former colleague, who is still my neighbor to this very day, but because of one particular thing, we unfortunately don't talk anymore. So he actually helped me out quite a bit with this whole situation, in the village. Like I said previously, I didn't really notice it that much at all until I actually ended up being a bit alone with it, right up until my rather famous and well-attended fundraiser.
Then I will
Kind of stopped talking to this friend because of it, or, well, to this day, we don't really talk. I think I don't even want to talk to him anymore. So it was a bit easier with him. And then I actually ended up alone with it because when I got back from the hospital, after a few weeks, my girlfriend left me. I would say it was kind of mutual, and I guess neither of us was able to handle it mentally and get back together. Well, that
must be really tough, though.
I would say this was actually one of the good things, or rather one of the easier things for me, because by then I really knew that I didn't want to hurt anyone at all, and I also wouldn't ever let anyone hurt me. And since she was considerably much younger than me, I basically understood it as that's just how it has to be. She has to go her own distinct and individual way, and I had to go my own separate path as well. It truly hurt me deeply, though. I really needed significant help and support, and regrettably, she simply wasn't there for me in that moment of profound need.
No, thank you very much.
But at least she got help. I met other people, so that's how I see it.
So how old was she actually?
She was like literally half of my age, approximately.
Yeah, indeed.
At that time, she was 23. Since I was a few years older, I took it more like... I already felt that way even back in the hospital. Even back in the hospital, I told her, just forget about me, just look at me. That my life was basically over and that there was nothing left. We were together, because we had some beautiful moments. We traveled a lot and enjoyed life while traveling and all that. We even worked together, which was something that only now or later I started to realize how much it actually suited us, how well it worked. So in the hospital, I already knew, I said, look, if you want, just forget about me, leave me alone, really. And she said, no, absolutely not, that she genuinely wanted to help me. So I was like, fine, I suppose. But we just couldn't truly handle it, neither of us. honestly. And I think deep down, I didn't really want her help either, to be completely honest with you.
Do you think maybe it was your ego involved there?
No, I think it was more that I really wanted to push her away from me a bit.
In him?
I'm telling you, she couldn't handle it mentally either. There was a problem with, like, the switching, that track thing, and I was relying on her for everything. In the end, I was left alone with everything, and if it hadn't been for a few people around me who took care of it, I don't know, I probably wouldn't have managed it with him.
When you think about it, and I'm just asking, it doesn't have to be that way. Could it also be related to age? For instance, when it came to changing the tracheostomy, maybe she just wouldn't have been able to handle it.
Yeah, because before they discharged us from the hospital, they said they'd teach me how to change it, and the idea that I would change it myself. Crazy. So I kind of put that responsibility on her, and she broke down there too, which I knew was bad. So we ended up dealing with it through my general practitioner who arranged for home care, and they started taking care of me. Basically, once they started coming, and because she kept traveling, there were times when, I don't know, I wouldn't see her for a whole week. Then she'd come home for a day, turn around and leave again, and we basically didn't even communicate. And it was just a matter of days. We were pretty much only dealing with the living situation, how we were going to sort that out. But it's true that about a year after we broke up, I contacted her. Like, I wanted to see her. But really just to see her and have a chat, that's all. That's it. I have nothing to blame her for, and yeah. That's how it was supposed to be, and...
And did you see each other?
No, not yet. Not since that particular time. We did actually arrange once to meet up, but somehow it unfortunately fell through, and I honestly don't even know precisely why we didn't meet. Or perhaps we set a specific date, but we didn't really get in touch with each other. You know, whatever is truly meant to happen will ultimately happen.
Will happen.
So they taught me that truly terrible word, the one they profoundly suffered from in the hospital. It's a truly horrible word, but I now fully understand that's precisely how it is today. All right?
I have just read about it recently.
And actually,
I mentioned it to you. I read an article, an interview with you earlier, and it said that shortly after you were discharged from the hospital, your girlfriend left you. And then 2 sentences later, it was written that you found a new girlfriend in the hospital.
that's truly wild. I am really, really enjoying listening to this. No, well, I must say,
It made me happy, and I think our listeners will be very pleased too when I say that your girlfriend accompanied you here today,
for the interview.
right?
It didn't happen right away. It took a considerable amount of time. But it's absolutely true that ever since our initial encounter at the hospital, we have consistently remained in close and regular touch with each other.
Zdeněk, that's fantastic. And, you know,
One lady from the burn unit told me a very similar story. And I said, when they had left, I said, that would truly be a dream if something like that were to happen to me. But
that was for
a story? No, a very similar one. Someone who was burned as well. And he also found someone, and they even have a family. They have a child. That's the happiest ending. I even met him once, but only from a distance. I would really like to see him more often, but
I think it's great that all our listeners now have a smile from ear to ear. I'm really happy for you. The story was
really like something truly enchanting and beautiful, almost out of a classic fairy tale. So sometimes when I hear it from you now, it actually happened too. Indeed, life writes all kinds of remarkable and extraordinary stories. And actually, it's true. When we met, I knew that this was the person who could help me, even mentally, actually. I could open up to her a little, or I did open up. Of course, I didn't open up to her completely because I really can't do that. She probably wouldn't be able to handle it. I think not. But even so, it was a lot that I told her, a lot of things. And she has truly helped me a great deal with numerous aspects of my life, particularly in a mental capacity concerning various plans and aspirations I possess, some of which have already materialized and come to fruition for me, while others are still patiently awaiting their opportune moment to unfold.
How about your girlfriend these days?
Right? I just won't mention her at all.
No, I just wanted to ask, for example, if she were sitting here, how would she say she reacted when she first saw you? Because Zdeněk, even though you have a scarred face, or you say you don't, but that charisma, even despite the scars, doesn't know any boundaries. So I'm interested in the woman's perspective on you. Have you talked about it? Because you must have talked about it. Women are chatty.
We did in fact talk about it, yes, because you see,
Also,
that back then she saw my old photos, how I truly looked before all of this happened, and she candidly said she absolutely wouldn't have even noticed me at all, that I was kind of...
What kind of thing is this? I am most definitely recording this and I am going to publish it right now, that you were in fact
that kind of guy, so really...
Just say it, you really know that one word.
A womanizer, someone who is very much into women and kind of a pretty boy, a very attractive young man and all that sort of thing. That apparently I also gave off that particular vibe too. But otherwise, I am not that kind of person at all. You wrote yourself off, am I right? I'm not going to admit to that. No, of course not.
To hammer.
Hammer it in. But a little bit of me, there has to be a little bit of confession there.
Okay. My wonderful girlfriends are always very nice and supportive to me. Okay.